I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, July the 14th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. Safeguard wants to know, is your dewormer working? Text the word SAFE to 48109 to find out and enter for a chance to win a Traeger grill. For more information, go to safeguard-wormer.com. Untethered Optimism. And I'm kind of running out of superlatives here, and I know we're not near where we were at in 2014 at the extreme highs, but my gosh, it's pretty impressive on these feeder cattle quotes on a cash basis. It's unbelievable. I'm sure you guys have seen some of them already. I'm going to give you tons of quotes here towards the end of the report like I always do, but they're the highest that we've seen since 2015. No, they're not where they were at in 2014, and they're not even close to that. But as we started coming down, of course we had the wreck of 2015, as we started coming down from 2015, they are the highest that we've seen since then, and the second highest to 2014. But cattle feeders are famous for having the shortest memories humanly possible, and they're doing it again. They cannot wait to get back in on these cattle, and the big time prices are, and that I'm going to give you, of course, from the barbecue sale at Bassett and some places like that, are going to be your Iowa farmer feeders. They're getting the highest prices. They're the ones that are getting the 150 and the 151 when it's quoted and things like that. But my gosh, they are sopping up any kind of margin that they have in these cattle, on the original first cost. But as a lot of the guys are telling me, these Midwestern farmer feeders, they're primarily farmers, and they're seeing what kind of crops they have out there. They know they're going to have a tax problem, and they don't want to pay taxes. And they can't get any big equipment because none of the implement dealers have any on the lots. Just kind of like your new pickups, you can't find any. They want you to order it, and I think it's going to always be that way from now on, where you can't haggle on the price. It's much like your Packers; they don't want to have to haggle. So they're just going to make you come in and order one when you absolutely have to have one, and then wait several months to get one. Well, it's the same with your implements. They can't get any new equipment because they don't have any in stock. So if they can't get it and not going to be able to get what they want, they might as well buy some cattle and feed some grain and walk some of that corn to town. But even though your new crop corn is sinking down there, it's below $6 according to Chicago Board of Trade Futures. It's not for nothing, guys. It's still higher than what we've been working on here for several years. But, I just ran a very conservative kind of a break even on a conservative price of conservative cattle. But if you take $1.80, which your August feeder cattle futures ended over that, and that's still about 8 or 10 bucks higher than what your CME cash feeder cattle index is for your average of 800-pound steers up through your middle 12 states. But it's not nearly as high as what a lot of 8 weights were bringing middle of this week here. But if you just take $1.80 8 weight steers, and you so let's say you feed them for $1.25. And you guys in the Midwest, especially you farmer feeders that do all the work yourself and it's your corn, you say, oh, I can feed them way cheaper than that. Well, the guys in the Southern Plains sure can't. I'll promise you, they can't feed them cheaper than that. This freight's gotten high and everything else. And let's say, even for you guys, your farmer feeders in the Midwest, I tell you, you're going to feed them for $1.25 a pound, and you say I can do it way cheaper than that. Not if you're going $8 in freight away to get the cattle at the get-go. So go ahead and include all your expenses in there, all your medicine, all your freight. God heaven forbid one of them stubs a toe or gets a runny nose or something like that. But let's just say, feed them for $1.25, which I still think is really cheap. Those cattle are going to break even at $156.50. Well, look down the line at your live cattle futures. Even April live cattle, which is by far the highest and always is only sitting just a few pennies over 155. You say, whoa, 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 but wait. I get to put that basis in my pocket, you know, and, you know, I got a $10 to $12 basis. There's a $10 to $12 basis now. I don't know if you can count on that. I actually know you can't count on that. I mean, we've got unprecedented, huge basis right here, and your hedged cattle feeders are loving it, and they think I'm crazy for even mentioning that your live cattle futures are not getting anywhere near what your weighted average is on your 5-area feeding region. Yeah, let alone what they're getting on the top price in Iowa and Nebraska. But they think, hey, don't say anything about that. We love it the way things are. But these huge bases that everybody's working with, don't you understand that it keeps a wrap on your market? It keeps a ceiling on your market. You know, where's the longs going to come from? You know, if it can't keep up. You know, we've got to have some long players in there somewhere. And with the recession coming, you know, a lot of those long positions, they can find other places to invest their money. And then they think, you know, that with recession hitting and inflation so high, people are not going to be able to afford to have the beef cuts that they want. Maybe they're not going to look into how well your export is to some of these Asian countries that are kind of taking over the world, and they want to sit down to big steaks every night. Maybe they're not going to look at all that, but it just continues to keep a ceiling and keep pressure on your fat cattle market and all classes of cattle too, whenever your board cannot keep up with what cash is. And we're running this huge spread between what they're getting in the southern plains for cattle and what they're getting in the northern plains for cattle. I tell you what, it's one reason that I've been a big supporter of this Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. And you said, well, you haven't said anything much about that for a while. Well, all your lawmakers have been on vacation here for the last 3 weeks, and so they haven't been doing a lot. But we've got to get that deal done, and we got to get it done between now and the end of September. So, you know, I'm going to ask you guys to get in support of that again whenever I find out the timing's right. But we still need to get that, and I still think we can get it. But my gosh, look at the optimism on these cattle feeders, and they're the ones that feed the very best cattle. Now, I'll grant you that. It's not your formulated guys. It's not your grid guys that are blowing their brains out on these best cattle. No, it's the guys that sell them negotiated and feed them to the very highest of quality levels. And God love them that they're doing that. You know, I think it's great that they're paying these big prices in competitive auction markets. And I don't care whether it's a video too. That's a very competitive market too. But look at some of these prices on the video. Of course, I gave you some big prices earlier in the week because Monday they sold the yearlings on Western Video Market. But selling feeder cattle on Week in the Rockies on Superior Livestock. And some of you have seen this, but check out the Pioneer Ranch in Tryon, Nebraska. These are program cattle, all bells, all whistles, including gap 4, which is so important there. But 457 head of home-raised 800-pound steers that deliver on my birthday, August the 17th, bring $218. Wow, unbelievable. But calves are selling that good too. And you look at the calf market there, and they had such a great sale at Western Video Market out there in Reno, and I've talked about it, and they advertise with us, and they do business with us, and we partner with them, and they're getting bull sales out on the West Coast for us, and I like all those people. All those people, when you go to the Western Video Market, nobody's jealous of nobody. Everybody acts like they like each other because they do. And everybody's having a big time. And I talked to Rick Machado there, and they were celebrating after the sales on Wednesday. A lot of times on Wednesday, everybody's catching flights and going here, there, yonder, and getting back home. They were still celebrating Wednesday night, but I had to get somebody to help me get the pronunciation of the Ugarin Ranch in A Rock, Oregon, which is southwest of Caldwell, Idaho. but they had a big time sale there. 382 head of ranch raised 550-pound steers. They were verified natural, 45 days weaned, and 44 farms sired, which might have meant the biggest difference there. But 382 head of these ranch raised 550-pound, I mean not peewees, 550-pound steer calves for October delivery bring 234. Oh my goodness. And congratulations to the Hugh Garin Ranch. Congratulations to my friend Zach Zoomstein there with Treasure Valley Livestock that represented those cattle. But excellent videos going on this week. And you know, we told you they were going to set the pace, and they've set the bar really high for going throughout the rest of this summer and into fall. But let's talk about your board. On Wednesday, August live cattle futures up 20 cents there at 136.87. You look at October, it was unchanged at 141.27. You know, where's the spur in that? And your fat cattle sales so far are a little bit lower this week. But your back months of your live cattle futures up 10 cents to up 52 cents. They want to act like they're going to be a little bit higher, but I got to see it. I want somebody to show me the cash fat cattle market averaging 150. Yeah, we can reach up and ring the bell once in a while on the very best cattle sitting in Iowa, sitting in eastern Nebraska, close to those plants that, especially your regional plants, that are so important to the market, that feature the very best cattle, and they'll reach out there and pay something to get those very best cattle. But show me a $1.50 average market in your 5-area feeding region. How the hell are we going to get there when they're selling cattle in the Southern Plains again at 137? I don't know. Somebody has to show me. Somebody's got to show me that market when we're buying cattle that break in the mid 150s and beyond, for sure. But August feeder cattle contracts up $1.22 at $180.80. That's a big time. $180.80 on an 800-pound steer. You know, here in less than a month. Like to see it. Of course, we're getting there on some of your premium sales, but they're talking about average. But September up $1.55 at 183.07. Your back months on feeder cattle up 77 to up 155. Talk about your grain markets, and Tuesday's big sell-off there and the losses in your market on Tuesday was not due to the report. The report had no surprises on the WASDE report that come out on Tuesday. It's mostly just due to recession fears and the confirmation of the worst inflation since 1981. Oh my gosh. Do you guys miss Trump? I sure do. But let's talk about your grain markets. Corn, July, which is barely traded, but I still want to give you an old crop price, up 7 1/4 cents at 7.40. That's not nearly as high as what it was. But December new crop corn up 8 3/4 cents, sitting at 5.95 1/4. Yeah, it's under $6 a bushel, and it's a lot more reasonable than what we feared, but it's a lot higher than what we've been working with here for quite a while. Beans November new crop up 6 1/2 cents, 13.49 1/2. September Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 5 1/2 cents. Of course, harvest here, so that mirage is going away. But note, it's not $12.50 a bushel anymore. It's $8.62 1/4. Talk about some more fat cattle trade that happened on Wednesday. Of course, Colorado's confidential, so they're not getting much trade from the third packer that needs to come in there to make that publishable. Just one packer and maybe two in there picking around. Iowa, 3,400 head, pretty decent movement there. Just 5,600 head for the week. Live sales in Iowa on Wednesday, 144 to 145. That's steady to $3 lower, guys. And dress sales from 228 to 230. Nebraska, pretty good movement out of Nebraska on Wednesday, 13,100 head. They've sold almost 15,000 for the week. We expect a big day here on Thursday. Live sales in Nebraska from 144 to 147. So top price paid there. Dress sales, a pretty good spread there from 224 to 232. You know, that's as much as $6 lower, guys. And guys going crazy over these feeder cattle. We know we're going to get a little speed bump here, and we know it's going to get better because we have great beef demand and we've got short numbers. But my gosh, just betting on the come in a big way. Kansas, almost 9,000 on Wednesday confirmed, and almost 10,000 for the week. But your live price is 137. Had a few sell to a regional at 140, but not enough to move your weighted average hardly at all. Texas, about 5,700 head on Wednesday, not quite 6,000 for the week. 137 was the price there, and they had a few sell off the market at 136. So continued disappointing fed cattle market, continued giant widespread between the southern plains and the northern plains. They are plucking cattle out of northern Kansas, the really best ones, and hauling them up into your northern areas, packing plants. Why wouldn't they, even if they got to pay $6 freight or $6 a loaded mile to get them up there? So, you know, that's just the way things are going on, and that disparage in there does not really bode well for overall markets. But box beef cutout values were a pinch lower on Wednesday. Choice cuts 268.05 down 46 cents. Selects down 91 at 241.26. Slaughter running at a mighty pace here. 377,000 through the first 3 days of the week. Hard to compare with the holiday week last week, but it's 20,000 more than the same week a year ago, which was the week after the holiday. So running at a blistering pace right here. But talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, I talk about them quite a bit. Tell you they're the professionals in the LRP. You guys that are resisting the LRP, I don't know why you are. I mean, you need to take a look at it. Who's going to come in there and pay for over a third to over half of your hedge cost right in there? The government will, if you look into the LRPs, and you got to get in touch with somebody that knows what's doing it. A lot of people are selling it, but you need to get in touch with somebody that knows what they're doing. But pay attention. If you know that you're going to be wintering some cattle, either dry wintering the cattle, putting them on weed, or doing something, if you stockpile grass, whatever you're going to be doing. But if you know you're going to be wintering some stockers, look at that spring feeder cattle market. Those contracts are near 190. Now, whenever you take those LRPs out, they're based off of your futures, because that's all we have. But whenever you settle them, they're based off the cash market, which is a whole lot more realistic. You're going to be $3 to $5 to $6 to $8 to the good already, guys. And you know, and the government will come in there and kick in from 35 to 55% of the cost of your premium on there. Man, when's the last time you remember cattle bringing that kind of money? And they may do it, but I think a guy would want to protect himself. Get a hold of Livestock Risk Services. Talk about your feeder cattle markets on Wednesday. Your real-time index on DV auction was up $1.19 at 171.50. So, you know, getting up there pretty good. Thought it might grow a little more than that because those Bassett sales would be in there on that. Of course, whenever we clear that out every night, it'll be a little bit higher than that to start the day on Thursday. But look at your big sales. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 11,100 head of cattle for the Tuesday and Wednesday sale. Not a lot of calves. Most of the sale was on Wednesday on the yearling feeders. Feeder steers were steady to $3 higher than the higher market they had a week ago. Feeder heifers $5 to $8 higher. Calves were not well tested on Tuesday. Not a lot of calves moving in the heat right now in central Oklahoma. But look at this automated marker report and look at these huge numbers of yearling feeders right here. How about 1,934 head of 7-weight steers in El Reno? They average 751 with a weighted average price on all of them of $168.41. Over 2,000 head of 8-weight feeder steers in El Reno, Oklahoma on Wednesday. They averaged 843 with a weighted average price just under 165 on all of them. And I tell you what, not all of them are going to impress you there. They got a lot of commodity cattle there, but 164.94 on the weighted average price on all of them. Look at some heifers. They had 1,535 out of 7-weight heifers in El Reno, Oklahoma. They averaged 745 with a weighted average price of 161.33. Got to give you an individual quote there, and it may not be the absolute highest, but I've seen their cattle. The Speak Ranch is a big customer of El Reno at OKC West there, and they run thousands of cattle out there, and they could sell them direct if they wanted to, and they easily do that, and they'd have buyers lined up at the gate wanting to take a look at them and bid on them. But why do they want to do that whenever they can send them to El Reno, offer them up in front of the big buyers there, and have a competitive bidding going on those cattle? And look what they sell. They sell 103 head of 1,007-pound steers, weighing over a grand, guys. Right there through the ring at El Reno, the Speak Ranch, 103 head of them, bring 166.80. Oh my goodness. I would never sell one in the country when you can sell them that high through the ring. But my goodness, well, what a deal for them. And congratulations to the Speak Ranch, and congratulations to them for choosing competitive bidding to sell their cattle. I'm going to give you guys a ton of individual quotes here. How about Parsons Livestock Auction in Parsons, Kansas? 56 head of 812-pound steers bring 172.10. I want to give you a big-time quote way out west. My friend Jake Billington, he keeps me abreast of what's going on in Idaho there. Got Twin Falls Livestock Commission, Twin Falls, Idaho. He sells through the ring there on Wednesday 107 head of 956-pound steers at 172.35 in Idaho. My goodness, it said those cattle going to feed in Colorado, and it'd have to be the eastern side. Put a lot of wheels under them. How about Hardin County Stockyards in Savannah, Tennessee? Okay, I'm giving you these quotes all over the country. Hardin County Stockyards, Savannah, Tennessee. They worked hard to get their information coming into Cattle Market Central and to be on the National Beef Wire Board, and it pays off because they sell loads of cattle, and they sell them high in the deep south, boys. Savannah, Tennessee, 57 head, 886-pound steers at 167.75. How many dollars of freight you going to put under those? Look at Sterling Livestock Commission, Sterling, Colorado. They sell 120 head of 842-pound steers at 185.25 in eastern Colorado. But I tipped you off a little bit earlier. The Zoetis stick-out sale of the day, of course, would be your barbecue special at Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. That they are also the Zoetis Market of the Month. You can't give them any more accolades than that, or I can't. I mean, somebody else can, but my gosh, can they sell cattle there. Best cattle in the world, Sand Hills in Nebraska. They do about the best, I guess, because they get the highest prices of marketing those cattle. Congratulations to those guys. They're cattle people, know what they're doing. They had 11,000 head in Bassett, Nebraska on Wednesday, guys. Had good market reporters there. They called the calves steady to $7 higher than the last sale. Called the yearling feeder cattle $12 to $16 higher than just the last sale, guys. It's unbelievable. But look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and just look at these weighted average prices on all of the cattle. Of course, all the cattle are really good. They don't get many dinks at all. They don't have any hardly plain cattle at all. They're all just really fancy sandhill cattle, but this is them all thrown together. 502 head of 6-weight steer calves in Bassett, average 650 pounds, with a weighted average price of $218.49. Oh my goodness. 483 head of 7 weights averaged $7.48 with a weighted average price of $207.53. Way over $2 a pound, guys. 6 and 7 weight steers. How about 984 head of 8 weight steers, Bassett, Nebraska, weighted average on all of them, 188.46. Over 3,000 head, 3,075 head of 9 weight steers in Bassett, Nebraska, averaged 948 on all of them with a weighted average price of $181.93 on 950 weight cattle, and there was nearly 3,100 head of them. Are you kidding me? They spiked the barbecue sauce again. It's unbelievable. How about some heifers? 861 head of 651 pound on the average heifers in that 6 weight group, averaged 194.64 on girls. 1,210 head of the 8 weight heifers in Bassett averaged 833 with a weighted average price of 177.87. And your National Beef Wire top quote for the day, of course, come out of Bassett Livestock Auction. It was 69 head of 712 pound steers, bring $2.25 a pound. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.